we will definitely be taking actions.
Legal action, the lawsuit?
Of course. I mean, I'm not talking about against the WNBA, but I think against Michael Alter and the Chicago Sky for sure.
Kanter was, quote, banned from Chicago Sky games. Michael Alter, the owner, determined that Kanter was a threat.
When you shoot a gun at someone, you don't get a warning. Don't do that again. Your action doesn't deserve a warning. You take action that becomes a threat, you don't get a warning. He wasn't given a warning because certain threats don't get warnings. He was given a lot of leeway. As I said, he was sitting there and he was trash talking her and all that. So he was certainly given leeway, but at a certain point,
The Chicago Sky organization is officially in full damage control, and the fallout is reaching a point of total panic for Angel Reese and company. What started as a chaotic courtside ejection at the most watched regular season game in WNBA history has now spiraled into a high-stakes legal nightmare.
Well, I mean, I can take any action I want, because what they're doing is unacceptable and they have no right to do so. I'm literally a fan, a pay fan. I paid the tickets for my own pocket, right? I definitely want a refund. Just let them know, but we will definitely be taking actions.
Legal action, the lawsuit?
Of course. I mean, I'm not talking about against the WNBA, but I think against Michael Alter and the Chicago Sky for sure.
ENES KANTER Freedom has officially confirmed that his legal team is filing a lawsuit against Chicago Sky owner Michael Alter after the franchise owner made one of the most astonishing public statements in modern sports history, comparing Kanter's courtside presence to shooting a gun.
When you shoot a gun at someone, you don't get a warning. Don't do that again.
Wait, hold on. So the Chicago Sky owner, Michael Alter, literally compared my actions with shooting a gun.
When an NBA veteran who spent 11 years in the league is publicly branded a dangerous threat simply for standing up and celebrating a Sophie Cunningham three-pointer, the front office has lost complete control of the narrative. Now, the Sky aren't just facing media criticism, they are staring down a defamation battle that threatens to expose deep dysfunction within their organization.
Well, the team determined, and Michael Alter, the owner, determined that Kanter was a threat. What's the threat? Let's talk about it. He wore a t-shirt defining what a woman was. He cheered, raised his hands for a three when Sophie Cunningham hit a three, and then a crazy-ass, racist, ridiculous dude,
To understand how Chicago ended up in this legal crosshair, you have to look at what actually transpired on the floor. Kanter purchased tickets out of his own pocket, notified team management hours before tip-off to ensure there would be no misunderstanding, and sat courtside to watch the marquee matchup between Indiana and Chicago. But the moment the game tightened up, the atmosphere shifted from competitive basketball to unhinged confrontation.
I actually paid for those tickets from my own pocket because I actually wanted to support, all these female basketball players out there, and they were on close to like $4,000. Me and my manager attended the game. We actually texted the general manager around 2:30 p.m. The reason we wanted to text him because we didn't want to cause any kind of trouble.
Sky guard Natasha Cloud began barking at Kanter, hurling profanities, and dropping aggressive insults right in front of families and young fans. When Kanter stood up, placed his hands in the air, and explicitly stated he was only there to support his friend, security rushed in and ejected him without a single warning. Rather than de-escalating the situation, Sky owner Michael Alter doubled down, claiming in media interviews that Kanter was a potential threat who didn't deserve a warning, offering up an extreme analogy about gun violence to justify the decision.
The next position when she came back, I was like, I'm not trying to sleep with her. I'm just here to support her and protect women. The next position, obviously, she came back and she started to drop a lot of F-bombs and she started to curse a lot and she started to bark at me. I'm like, there are lots of kids and teenage girls on the stand idolizing you, right? This is unacceptable. This is not an idol should be look like. And obviously she started to step towards me. I got up. I simply put my hand on the air and I was like, listen, I'm here to protect women, and that's all I'm doing. And then they literally throw me out of the game.
That single comparison blew the entire situation wide open. You cannot publicly classify a high-profile former professional athlete as a violent threat without concrete evidence, especially when video footage clearly shows he never stepped over the baseline or initiated physical contact. Kanter's response was swift and decisive.
So definitely not. Like I said again, I played 11 years. I know better, right? I know where the baseline was standing. So if I step over the baseline, yes, they have every right to throw me out of the game. But I know where the baseline was standing, so I did not even get close to the baseline. I literally just got up, take one step forward, which was not even close to the baseline. I literally simply opened my arms and said, I'm here to protect women.
He called out Alter's statements as delusional, demanded a full refund for his $4,000 tickets, and instructed his legal team to take formal action against Alter and the Sky for defamation and wrongful ejection. For Angel Reese and the Sky roster, this lawsuit couldn't come at a worse time. While Chicago is dragged through headlines for PR blunders, executive paranoia, and player outbursts, the stark contrast on the court couldn't be more glaring.
Because they're comparing my actions, my freedom of speech, with shooting a gun. Like, I don't think they know what they're talking about. They're delusional, and I think it's time for us to, point out these delusional people and just expose them in the public. But I think me and my legal team will definitely be taking actions against Chicago Sky and Michael Alter.
The real panic inside the Chicago Sky isn't just about a single legal filing, it's about the total collapse of accountability at the top. When sports analysts pressed Michael Alter on why Natasha Cloud wasn't disciplined for instigating the altercation with wild profanities, the owner suddenly began mumbling, stuttering, and dodging questions, flatly refusing to address his own players' conduct.
Well, my question is why isn't Natasha Cloud being disciplined for this? Because if the threat didn't, if the supposed threat didn't come into play until after she instigated, then is she not responsible for any part of this?
Her role in this has nothing to do with our decision. It's how we handle. So I'm not here to talk to you about that. It's just not relevant to his actions.
But why isn't it relevant to what we're talking about? Why isn't she being disciplined?
Whether she is or isn't, I'm telling, is not something I'm here.
That double standard is precisely why this story has taken on a life of its own. When a franchise protects player hostility while using extreme legal rhetoric against paying fans, it exposes an organization operating out of fear rather than leadership. Outside voices like Cameron Brink tried to dismiss the controversy as mere clickbait, but key figures across the basketball world, including NBA champion Steven Jackson, stepped up to point out the obvious. You cannot treat paying spectators like criminal threats while ignoring line-crossing behavior from your own roster.
I think he's just trying to stay relevant. So I think people are tuned in for the right reasons, and it's great that we can all talk about things that are important and hard, and you can have your opinions on that. But I think taking something that's a non-issue right now and just trying to use it for clickbait, for views, for likes, and then targeting a vulnerable community is just really low.
This entire saga highlights a growing divide in women's basketball today. On one side, you have an organization like the Chicago Sky bogged down in defensive optics, courtside squabbles, and self-inflicted legal exposure that leaves stars like Angel Reese caught in the crossfire of bad publicity. On the other side, you have Caitlin Clark, who continues to elevate the entire sport through sheer talent, unbelievable work ethic, and relentless production.
On the Caitlin Clark note, Caitlin Clark dropped 37 on the big, fat, stupid head of Dejounte Carrington, who circled it as a revenge game. Oh, man, Dejounte, I guess maybe, didn't work out great for you, as Caitlin Clark remains, along with Sophie Cunningham, the only two people in that league that have sense and are interesting. Anyway, the WNBA got its biggest regular season attendance, the audience, since 1997, 3.31 million. That's all to see Caitlin Clark. Make no mistake.
While league executives and team owners scramble to handle public relations disasters, Clark keeps her focus strictly on the hardwood. She doesn't need fake outrage, sideline theatrics, or executive protection to make headlines. She lets her game do the talking, and the results speak for themselves.
Make no mistake. They can say what they want, but on every one of the venues, including Ion, Eon, whatever the hell it is, Caitlin Clark games are the most watched ever on every single outlet that the WNBA is on. She is, along with Sophie Cunningham, the only two interesting players in that league, the only two sensible players in a league full of crazy-ass lesbians. And the truth of the matter is, we know it. They may not know it, but audiences know it, so audiences tune in. Now, the WNBA is on a hiatus for some FIBA thing.
That is why the contrast between Caitlin Clark and the surrounding league drama is so striking. While certain players and owners spend their energy picking battles with fans, making absurd analogies, and managing lawsuits, Clark is busy building a legacy that will define a generation. She represents the absolute gold standard of professional sportsmanship, a true competitor who thrives under pressure and elevates everyone around her without ever resorting to cheap distractions.
So he was certainly given leeway, but at a certain point, you know, when somebody, I mean, to use an extreme example, when you shoot a gun at someone, you don't get a warning, don't do that again. It's, yeah, your action doesn't deserve a warning. You take action that becomes a threat, you don't get a warning.
Wait, hold on. So the Chicago Sky owner, Michael Alter, literally compared my actions with shooting a gun.
As ENES KANTER Freedom's lawsuit moves into the courtroom, the Chicago Sky are going to have to answer for their words and actions under oath. But on the court, the verdict has already been delivered. Caitlin Clark is the undisputed face of basketball, and no amount of sideline chaos in Chicago can shadow her rise to the top. What do you think about ENES KANTER filing a lawsuit against the Chicago Sky? Did Michael Alter cross the line with his comments, or will Caitlin Clark continue to carry the league to new heights despite the off-court drama?
What do you think your biggest case here is against them? What is the violation that you plan to sue them for?
I mean, first of all, it's a horrible thing to say that they're comparing my actions to shooting a gun. Like, what are you doing? You know, that is one. And two, they throw me out of the game. They could have given me a warning and say, hey, next time we're gonna throw you out. And I'm like, okay, sure, but I didn't do anything. I will still say I didn't do anything wrong.
Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more sharp WNBA commentary, and share this video with every basketball fan you know.